Okay, so we are ending. I am officially terminating the pandemic series of thoughts in the basement. Why? Because it's depressing. I want to live, man. Nobody wants to be depressed thinking about all of this stuff that's not going on, because there's a lot going on. As I said the other day, the most important thing you have is life. And if you have that, then everything else will thrive, survive. So here's the thing. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. I mean, who can be you better than you? And the reality of it is, when you are comfortable with being you and you have grown into being you, there are so many things you can do. You can get to the next level. You can proceed. I hear people talking about, oh, I want to go to work. I miss being at the office. And I'm at home and bullshit. Why? Because when you were in the office, what were you doing? See, I'm fortunate. I work in the office and out of the office. People on all different levels. So I see people in the office that are supposed to be doing whatever. And I see people out of the office that are moving and shaking and making things happen. So when I hear people talking about, oh, I miss being in the office, I want to say, why? You weren't doing anything when you were there. Chill. This is the time to catch up to yourself. This is the time to capitalize on all those things that when you were sitting in the office going, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I don't have time. You got plenty now. Because though you're sitting at home or working remote, you're not tied to your keyboard or desk or whatever it is you're working from every second of the day. And if you are, multitask. I can have a conference call and jog. I can have a conference call and ride my bike. I can have a conference call and take a walk. If you're sitting there wasting away, it's because you want to. Now is the time to grow. And I don't mean in waist size, because too many people are just taking this thing to the next level in terms of eating all kinds of garbage and junk food. And I hear all the excuses of, oh, I don't have anything else to do. Yeah, you know what? Make something happen. Make it happen. Get up and go. Even if it's just in the circle, even if it's in your backyard, if it's in your front yard, if it's down the block, go. You make it to the grocery store. You make it to pick up that takeout to go food. You make it to the Burger King and McDonald's drive-thru. Man, now is the best time in the world to own a fast food restaurant. Every last one of them is crowded. Every day. All day. Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Pollo Tropical, and everybody else who's got a drive-thru in a window where people can pick up their food and keep it moving. Instead of getting better, are we getting worse? Are we getting lazy? Personally, I've gotten lazy in some ways. I admit that. I'm the guy who's always up at 4:58, 5:12 in the morning, up and moving before my alarm clock even goes off. And by 7:30, I'm into my first workout of the day. Now I wake up, I lay there. I don't get up, think about getting up until 7 o'clock, which I know for a lot of people that's what time they get up, but I don't sleep more than, 4 or 5 hours. It's always been that way. But I take advantage of the time in other ways. Now, I can structure my days where I can actually get in 2-3 workouts, or whenever I feel like I need to blow it off. And trust me, I need to blow it off a lot these days. But let's do it, people. Let's catch up to ourselves. Let's do the things all the things that we said we would do if we had the time. All the organization, all of the reorganization, the plans, the projects, the self-empowerment, advancement books we would read. Do it. Because you don't have an excuse not to, other than you making excuses. Now, I know situations are not all optimal. I know situations are not all optimal. Trust me, I know. If you're going through anything, this is the worst time in the world to be going through anything else and then be thrown into the midst of this. I get it. But it's also the time to stand up, check your direction, and see if it's you, see if it's the situation, see if it's someone else, and decide which way you're going to go. Again, quit whining. Babies whine because they are held captive to the situation by people. Babies don't have a choice. That's why they whine. But the problem is when they go beyond that and they're conditioned to whine because they're not getting their way, or because they don't know how, or are not allowed to make choices. See, we all have a choice. Whatever the situation is, we have a choice. So you either, one, get rid of the situation, whatever it is. Two, you do nothing, continue to exist within. Or three, you try to make the situation better for yourself within the situation, or four, you try to truly resolve it for the total situation. So you have choices. But even as you make those choices, you have to decide whether you can survive, thrive, and stay alive within whatever that situation is, and what your tolerance level is, or you're going to allow it to be. Unfortunately, I can't give you the answer. I can't tell you the parameters within which to make the decision, because unfortunately, a lot of times we don't know whether we can stay alive, whether we can survive, whether we can thrive in situations until we are in the midst of them. And then you've got to think on your feet. I will say, nobody gets to decide what something is worth to you other than you. And nobody gets to decide what you're worth for real, not to them, not to the situation, not to a company, not to a team, but in this world, in existence, to God. No one gets to decide that except for you and God. Hopefully we'll come to the other side of this. Well, we will, but hopefully sooner than later. And hopefully as we approach that light at the end of the tunnel, people will have absorbed lessons and have employed better practices with themselves and others, and with the world in general. And we as a mass will be thinking and acting differently towards one another and towards ourselves. So again, I say, don't be afraid to grow into yourself, and don't be afraid to transmit the reality of who and what you are. As long as it's positive. Blow it out. Show it out. Be you. Irregardless. And be great. And remember, there's a choice. There's at least 4. There might be more, but there's at least 4. And they're yours to make. I'll see you at the other side of the rainbow. Thoughts from the basement.